What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. I hope you like the new intro and the new logo. I pasted it all over social media so you guys could take a look, but that is my new logo, believe it or not. I've got it in a bunch of different colors. Maybe we'll make some t-shirts or something at some point once I get popular enough. I doubt it, though. Anyway, I am coming back to you with a video today to talk about a newly acquired and newly graded 1990s AT-AT driver. I assume it's 1990s, and we'll get into that. But this is a Russian bootleg AT-AT driver in like a metallic red plastic. And it's super interesting, and I thought we'd compare it to the Oritet Limited silver AT-AT driver with the gun that is not molded to his hand like this one. It's just an interesting comparison, and I've tried to do a bunch of research to see if I can figure out who made this. Some people think it's a recast of this figure, and I don't think that's the case, but based on what I looking at the figure and everything I found online. But first of all, we've already seen this one. This is my 1990s Oritet Limited AT-AT silver AT-AT driver bootleg. I got a 90 plus on this. Now, I did some research, and a lot of this information and photos come from Star Wars Collector Archive, swca.com, I believe. But here are a few examples of this figure on the card. And they are extremely difficult to find and extremely expensive. I did see one on eBay that sold, I guess, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, and it sold for around $4,000 ungraded. But it was one of these three card backs that you see right here. And anyway, an interesting thing is that they come in a bunch of different colors based on everything I've found. In terms of the colors for this AT-AT driver, this silver is the most common, but I have seen, even recently for sale, one with a black torso, and then also one with a blue torso like you saw in the photo of the carded example. And this is from SWCA, and this is Brendan Murphy, and he wrote that he calls this, and now this is his description of it, okay? So this is not like official Oritet information, but he said the AT-AT driver remains the only figure in the Russian bootleg figure line. Now he's talking about pre-Power of the Force 2 molded figures. If you go back and look at my channel, I did a long video on the Oritet Power of the Force 2 molds, and that included Yoda, Darth Vader, Chewbacca, and Bosk. So he's not including those. This information dates back pre Power of the Force 2. He says there are two known versions of it. This recently discovered AT-AT driver has a blue torso as well as a blue gun, and he goes on to say that there's also the black torso as you saw in the photo. He said this particular piece strikes me as further proof that there are two known Russian figures, the Russian AT-AT driver and what might be called the AT-AT leader. Now, that's his name. That's not Oritet's name. I name him the leader because looking at the card of both this figure and the blue figure, there are two silver AT-AT drivers flanking and looking at the third figure that is dressed in the blue uniform. And so he's saying that basically functions as a leader. And as I mentioned, there's also the black torso. So anyway, a number of the longtime bootleg collectors in the bootleg group on Facebook, they've got carded examples of this, and they're just incredible to look at, and they're super expensive. But anyway, the question is, who made this? And so I want to dive into that. So then the question is, who made this Russian bootleg of the AT-AT driver? And no one really knows. No one really knows. Some of the theories are that this is basically a stolen mold of the Oritet, but I don't buy that theory because the arms are so different, and they have a lot of decorative details here around the shoulder joint that were not present here. And maybe that's just because they stole it and had to kind of figure out a new solution. It's so rudimentary that it makes me believe that it is from the 1990s. And, some of the other collectors, longtime collectors, have posited that this is actually a fairly recent mold. But everything I found online seems to support the fact that it is you know, that it dates back to the 1990s. I have seen, well, now I don't know if this photo is just because of the lighting, you know, there's a flash in the photo or not, but there is one that appears to be a lighter pink color. And let me show that to you right here. And so back to our question. Okay, so who possibly made it? My friend Drew came up with a theory that there is another bootleg company, not Oritet, but there's another bootleg company called Technolog. And Technolog is mainly known for battle beasts. It's like a small 1980s line of toys. I mentioned this in my unboxing for this figure, but there's a 1980s toy line, licensed toy line called Battle Beasts, where you can rub their chest area, and they, you know, it's like based on elementals. So earth, wind, fire, and water. And so depending on which, you know, you could like battle them against each other, maybe like, I don't know, 2.5 inches high, 2 inches high. And so anyway, Technolog made a lot of bootlegs on the Battle Beasts toy line. So let me show you a few photos right here. And right here. Apparently, Technolog is still in business. Well, I shouldn't say still in business. This is I found some information on them on a blog, sytoysoldiers.blogspot. But anyway, this dates back to 2014, so they may not be in business, but I still see their stuff on eBay all the time, so I assume they're still around. But Technolog, and here's what the guy wrote, and I'll post this up on the screen so you guys can read it. But Technolog Russian for Technologists started producing plastic figures sometime in the 1990s. Over the years, they have greatly expanded the range of their offerings and steadily improved the quality of the figures. Early figures are around 60 millimeters, and the most recent production is 54 millimeters. The production line is called Fantasy Battles and is really more akin to a war game than traditional toy soldiers. Technolog has probably produced more fantasy figures in the toy soldier scale than any other company. The quality of the detail on some of the figures is amazing. So anyway, it goes on a little bit more. And, you know, they are known for kind of post-apocalyptic figures and fantasy and kind of, you know, all those kind of things. But the Battle Beasts are where I knew them from. And, you know, those are clearly from the late 1990s or 2000s, given the time frame of this description for Technolog. But one theory that my buddy Drew has is that given the colors, you know, this is like a weird kind of metallic red. It's not a very standard color to choose. And as you saw in those photos, a number of the Technolog's bootlegs are these metallic reds and metallic blues. And this figure also did come in a metallic blue color. I could not find one anywhere online, but I know I have seen one previously talking to a few other collectors. So one theory is that they stole the mold, or they you know, kind of came up with their own AT-AT Driver mold in the 1990s. I mean, keep in mind that the original Star Wars movie did not make it over to Russia until 1990 proper. So these bootlegs, you know, they didn't even start being formed in Russia until the 1990s. But one theory is that Technolog kind of cut their teeth on technology and so forth, and figuring out how to mold figures with this figure. And as their technology improved, that's when they moved into other smaller toy lines. They're all static bootlegs, as you saw in the photos. So that's, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I guess it's possible given the colors. That, you know, the issue is that this is so crude compared to their Battle Beasts bootlegs that are very sharp and very detailed and, you know, very nicely made, whereas this one's not really that nicely made. You know, I just don't think that if it is made by Technolog, it's definitely an early toy that they made before they improved their manufacturing processes. But I don't think it's a Oritet, just given the differences in the gun. And I mean, the gun molds are totally different, and really the rest of the figure is pretty different too. So I don't know. It's a tough call as to whether this is a stolen mold of this versus something completely original by a different company. I tend to think it's something original from somebody else and not Oritet, and made maybe a little bit later than the original Oritet figure. So anyway, I just thought that you guys would like to take a look at the comparison of these two figures. They're very, very interesting bootlegs. And you can still find these on eBay. I've seen them come up occasionally. Be very careful that the gun is the correct mold for this figure, because I do see some sellers have an incorrect gun for this. Most of the sellers do disclose that the gun is not correct, but others do not. You can expect to pay, the prices have come way down from even 10 years ago. Many of the longtime collectors I've spoken with paid over $1,000 for a lot of these, but you can find this one ungraded today for $300 to $500 is probably about the right price point. And as of a couple days ago, there were a few on eBay. But like I said, just make sure that that gun is correct. The other thing to keep in mind is that these sonic welds that hold this figure together are super fragile. So make sure you get one that is not weak welded or glued back together, or not glued at all together, and some sellers will disclose it and some won't. I got this from a trusted Russian seller who sold a lot of stuff on eBay, and he told me, hey, this is one of the top figures, and the score reflects that it's 90 plus. But this one, it just popped up, and I grabbed it. It was not that expensive. I think I paid 80 or 90 bucks for it. Who knows what it is, but that my best guess, based on everything I could find, and I've done a ton of research and talked to a few other collectors, my best guess is that this is a late 1990s bootleg, not made by Oritet, using its own mold. I wish I could find the blue one of this online or in person, or I know of a collector that has one. So Drew T, if you're watching this, if you ever want to get rid of that metallic blue one that's like this, send it my way, because I'd like to take a look at it. Anyway, that's all I got. I'll include some photos at the end of this, and thank you for watching.